Hey, everybody. I'm Mr. Romano. I'm a counselor at Legacy. I'm also the school's NCAA coordinator, and I'm here to talk to you, all right, about the NCAA Eligibility Center and what it takes to go through that process, point out some resources, point out some typical questions, all right, and some answers, and give you some general direction for how to proceed. So for starters, all right, you should be seeing the Legacy homepage right now. From the Legacy homepage, if you go over here to the Family Resources tab, and in the bottom left, it says NCAA and NAIA. That'll bring you to the Legacy page. It's a page that I'm responsible for creating. All right, the information on here and the resources that are here are things that I have brought to this site. For starters, the big picture, all right, NCAA, all right, requires students to go through something called the Eligibility Center to determine if they have initial eligibility to participate in college athletics if they are interested in Divisions 1 or 2. This is not necessary for any student who's interested in participating in NCAA Division 3 athletics. If you're interested in Division 1 or 2 colleges, all right, you need to go through this process at some point. This website has some very direct, very specific, all right, and very clear language about what you should be doing, and as well as links. So, for example, right here, the eligibilitycenter.org is where you go to actually develop a login, a password, all right, etc. That said, I also have a lot of resources here at the bottom. All right. So, for example, and I'll walk through some of these in a little bit. All right. There are some attachments. NCAA Division 1 academic requirements, Division 2. There's an actual PDF presentation here, some COVID-specific FAQs, and a very large, all right, overall pamphlet I would strongly encourage families to familiarize themselves with. That said, here are some of the most common questions and processes that need to be understood. How do I get my transcript, all right, sent is a common question. So, when you go to Eligibility Center and create an account, it's going to literally walk you through first do this, second do this, third do this. It's relatively straightforward. But one of the things that you have to do is you have to have a transcript sent to them. They will not take transcripts from high schools. They won't take them from students or parents. They won't take them from anybody other than the testing agency itself, which means that you need to go to SAT or ACT, all right, and have you pay a fee, all right, to have a transcript delivered directly to the Eligibility Center in order for them to take that. So the transcript question, however, right, and that's for standardized test scores. The transcripts, however, just as far as your grades, all right, and proof of graduation, those come from the high school. And specifically, I have a couple comments here on how do I get my initial transcript sent and how do I get my final transcript sent. So again, I would strongly encourage everyone to read through this website carefully, all right. But what it's basically going to say is I automatically send transcripts twice a year. All right. I do that or for two populations. At the beginning of the school year, I will basically send, all right, transcripts for all seniors who have an account. I go into eligibilitycenter.org. I say, show me every single student who's in the current senior class. Anyone who has created that account, I just go ahead and send a 6th semester or their first 3-year transcript to the Eligibility Center. I do that again roughly June 1st after graduation and after we have transcripts that have the graduated date on it, et cetera, and the proof of graduation that the NCAA requires. Other than those automatic times, if you want it sent, it's not done through Naviance, like the typical transcript request. We just say to students and families, contact Romano, and Romano will get that transcript done for you, because actually it's not even a sending process. They have their own intro website that I log into and upload things directly. So it's just a little bit different. In any case, information on the transcripts is right there. Standardized test scores, we talked about, again, having them sent. If you look over here, you'll see when you register for an SAT, you're allowed to use certain numbers that will predetermine where you want your scores sent. Like if, for example, you're going to apply to the University of Colorado, you can look up their number, put it in at the time of registration, and then they will automatically send your score right to the University of Colorado. That's also true for the NCAA, and the NCAA's code is right there. It's 9999. So there's some just general information. I want to take a second to kind of talk about what it takes to qualify. And there are a bunch of handouts here, all right, but I'm going to go through one as a simple example, the NCAA Division I academic requirements, all right. So as I open this document up, again, these are documents generated by the NCAA. I did not write these, all right. I simply moved them to our website. The short version is when you want to be eligible for college athletics through this process, you need to have a certain, among other things, a combination of a certain number of classes, a certain GPA in those classes, all right, and a certain standardized test score. All right. So for the number of classes, they call those the core course requirements. So you can read about this. You can see right here, it'll say, as an example, there are 16 core courses that you must have. They are broken down as follows. So as a simple example, it's not uncommon for a legacy student to have 4 or even 5 credits of math while they're at legacy. All right. 3 of them are going to meet this math category. All right. The 4th one will then go into this additional English, math, or science category. And if they have a 5th, that 5th one would come over here towards the additional courses. All right. You can look up, once you go to eligibilitycenter.org and create that account, you're going to be able to see a list of legacies classes. So as an example, not every class meets these criteria. As a very specific example, under the English category, all right, obviously our English 9, 10, 11, and 12, they're all approved by NCAA. Same thing with our AP English Language, AP English Literature, and then some of our elective courses like creative writing are also approved as NCAA classes. However, there are some that are not. For example, Lit to Film was not given a certification by the NCAA. So if I had a student in his junior year who was trying to take as many core courses as he or she could, all right, to give them the best chance of trying to have the appropriate GPA and the appropriate number of courses, I would tell that student, you need to make sure the courses you're taking are on the approved list. And you should go to your Eligibility Center website to make sure that the classes you're signing up for, all right, are in fact core classes. Similarly, I might tell that student, I know you want to take one particular elective, but that particular elective isn't an approved core course. Maybe instead your elective could be an approved one, like as an example, psychology and sociology. These are courses that are often considered electives to students, but they're actually approved courses under the social science category and could fit this category as well. And that might be a better use of a child's time, all right, as it pertains to qualifying for the NCAA if a student is in a place where his number of classes, GPA, and standardized test score are very, very borderline. Okay. So you can read here all about things like what it takes to be a full qualifier as opposed to an academic red shirt or a non-qualifier. And again, you can read these at your own time. As it pertains to the GPA, I forgot to mention, all right, the core GPA that I'm about to refer to is only the GPA that is earned by the courses that meet this 16 core course requirement. So a student legacy will typically take 24, 25 credits is not uncommon. All right, they're not taking all of those credits and calculating a GPA like we put on your transcript, your cumulative GPA. They're only taking the GPA from these 16 classes. If you have 17 core classes, they'll take the 16 highest of those 17 that still meet these subcategories. Then they will manually calculate that GPA, which is something that any student or parent could do him or herself. I frequently have requests that ask, hey, Mr. Romano, can you please help me manually calculate my GPA? Unfortunately, my answer to that question is no, I cannot. As I am not an employee of the NCAA, I'm not permitted to do that. I can, however, show you how to do it. All right. So that's, again, basically taking all the courses that you have taken and will take over the years, all right, to meet these subcategories. All right. Then by semester, taking each one, all right, and putting them the letter grade. Maybe I took math 1 and I got an A in one half of it and a B in the other. All right. And by semester, I'm writing them down. All right. The A is worth 4 points. The B is worth 3 points. The C is worth 2 points, etc. Add them all together. All right. And divide by the number of them. And that's what your GPA will be. In the meantime, once you have that GPA, over here, it'll tell you what you need to get a full qualifier. So let's pretend a student, for example, calculates his or her GPA and has a 3.0. So that student finds themselves here and says, this is me. I have a 3.0 core GPA. And that means that I need to get a 720, all right, on the SAT, which of course, all right, is a combination of the two subscores. All right, so hopefully that information, and again, you can tell, all right, if that student says, hey, I need to do a little better, well, there's two ways to help yourself. You could either retake the standardized test, all right, to raise that score, or you could raise your GPA. As you go from a 3.0, for example, to a 3.1, you no longer need a 720. You now only need a 660. So you can see it's called a sliding scale. The higher you perform on one metric, the lower you're required to perform on the other metric. As a point to note here, the academic red shirt is highlighted here, all right, which again you can read about, all right, earlier in this document. I'm taking you back to that same page. You can see some other documents to read. Again, there's a specific one for Division II. All right. There's also some COVID frequently asked questions and responses, which again is created by the NCAA. And I would encourage students in our current, all right, senior class and junior class to familiarize themselves with that. And this document is, again, a lengthy 26 pages or something like that, that has lots of FAQs in it and lots of direction as well. So short version, if you are interested in participating in NCAA Division I or II college athletics, you need to come to this website. You need to follow the link to the Eligibility Center website. It will give you a great deal of direction for what to do first, second, and third from there. And then you need to familiarize yourself, all right, with the rest of this website, including concepts about or practices about transcripts, all right, standardized test scores, all right, and these documents down here, which will give you a lot of direction to give you the answer to the question of, am I on track to qualify? Which is a very, very common question. And again, I'm showing you how to answer that question yourself. I hope this has been helpful information. I'm always available, all right, to have more specific, all right, conversations with students and families who want to talk more specifically about their child and have specific questions. Feel free to contact me. If the questions are specific about the sport, for example, if a family wants to know, hey, what can I do to get recruited, or is my child, all right, of an appropriate performance level to play at the college level, that's a question I'm going to defer to that child's coaches and say, you should be in touch with your child's coaches to get an indication of whether he or she is going to be able to play at the next level. Hopefully this information has been helpful. Again, feel free to reach out to me, all right, by email is typically the easiest way to reach me. My email address is anthony.d.romano@adams12.org, and my phone number is 720-972-6731, and you can find my contact information all over the website. Have a good day.